And now for something from the Odd Files. Kitty Douglas, formerly Kitty Hall, has had more than a few odd things happen in her life. She has witnessed 2 crimes, claims to have met the real Santa Claus, and more recently says she spent a bizarre day substitute teaching at Polk Elementary School in this quiet little town in West Virginia. We interviewed school staff, Kitty's friend Jeanne Oates, and Kitty herself.
I had taken a job as a substitute teacher during a desperate time in my life. I walked into the classroom and there were about 28 or so students. They were milling about, and I went to the desk to look at the notes the teacher had left for me. The bell rang, and I said, "Okay, class, take your seats so I can take roll." Some kid at the back yelled, "Who are you, and where's Mr. Gunderson?" And I said, "I'm Miss Douglas, your substitute teacher. I don't know where he is. They called me to come in for him." And the kid was like, "We don't want you, lady." And all the other kids started shouting. And I was like, "You're trying to tell me something, aren't you?" Next thing I know, it was total chaos.
I teach in the classroom next door, and it was the loudest thing I had ever heard. I couldn't even hear myself talking. So I stopped my teaching and I ran next door to see what was going on.
Suddenly the door flew open and Mrs. Spittle came in.
There wasn't much I could do. I tried holding my finger to my mouth and speaking softly, but they just laughed at me. I wanted to yell, but you can't do that anymore.
Those kids attacked her with paper wads and spitballs, and they even threw their science projects at her.
Science project?
Yes, they had these petri dishes with lima beans in them. Those poor seedlings were destroyed.
It was an absolute nightmare. I had spit wads stuck in my hair the whole rest of the day, not to mention plant seedlings. Those were the worst second graders I have ever witnessed.
So I finally managed to intercom the office and ask for assistance. Luckily, Assistant Principal Pinchyface was available, or so I thought. She came and stuck her head in the door and then left without a word. I thought, where's the authority? These kids are running wild.
Kitty called me at their first recess, and she was crying because those kids had terrorized her. I was having none of it, so I decided to drive down there and help her out. I got there and I told the office staff that I was her sister and I needed to give her a message from our dad.
My friend Jeanne came down to the school to help me out. I told the office staff to let her in, that she was my sister. I had to do something. They weren't helping me.
I walked into the classroom and it was like a war zone. Little 7-year-olds running around screaming and shouting and throwing things. I saw one little girl in the corner of the room sitting there crying. I asked her what was wrong and she said she just wanted to learn her multiplication, but the other kids were being mean. How do you like that? At least one kid was there to learn. That got me angry, so I decided we had to do something drastic.
Jeanne got this idea that we should start a rumor that every child who behaved would get $40 at the end of the day. I told one little boy, and I told him it was a secret, not to tell anyone. Jeanne did the same with one of the girls.
Within minutes, kids were starting to return to their seats. I stuck around the rest of the day to make sure Kitty was going to be all right.
After lunch, we did their science lesson, but they all had to observe the only seedling that survived the earlier fiasco. Then I told them stories about the crimes I had witnessed a few years ago. They liked that because Jeanne and I acted out our takedown of that convenience store robber. They called us heroes.
When the bell rang at the end of the day, I got the kids to line up to go out to the pickup area. As they passed by me, I said, "Sorry, I don't have any money. I guess I must have left it at home." Most of them believed me, but one didn't.
That one little girl who'd been good the whole time demanded her $40, and I was like, "I'm sorry, Cindy, I just don't have it." She got really angry and she called me a liar and kicked me in the shin.
It's Pinchyface and it's Italian. Needless to say, Kitty Douglas will never be asked to sub at our school again. We had numerous parental complaints about her bribery scheme.
Why do these strange things always happen to me?